5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Okay, welcome back, everybody, to Go Get Your Shine Box. This is Jim, and welcome to the podcast of the century. Guys?
Yep, this is Joe from New Germany, central New Germany, and Paul's got some enlightening, is that what I'm looking for?
That's the word.
Enlightening truth, and some history that really needs to be told, and it should... I mean, you really need to take this to heart and really listen and understand what's going on here. Go ahead, Paul. Take it away.
All right. Thank you, Joe. Now, this is a podcast relating to World War III. Now, I've been talking about this for a while, although I generally dismissed it. But we're getting to the point where we have psychopaths in leadership positions in this country. And not only are they psychopaths, but they are perhaps the least competent leaders we have had in the history of this country. And on top of that, they're ideologues, war hawks, and so on. So regarding the Russia-Ukraine and possible coming World War III, I wanted to give you a little bit of a backstory of how we got to where we were in February, the history of United States, Russia, and Ukraine. So this is just a real quick outline. After the fall of the Soviet Union, Ukraine became an independent state. Now, we had negotiations back then in 91, I believe, and during these negotiations with the Russian Federation, certain guarantees or statements were made. United States Secretary of State James Baker told Russia that NATO will not advance 1 inch further east. German Chancellor Helmut Kohl, you may remember that name, gave the same assurances to Russia. NATO Secretary General Manfred Werner confirmed all these things to them. So this is telling Russia, no need to worry, everything's cool. We're not gonna do this. United States did not keep their promises, obviously. I think we've added 16. Don't hold me to that. 16 countries to NATO?
I believe it's somewhere around there.
Okay. We continued bringing in new nations into NATO, pushing and pushing and pushing, including those directly on Russian borders. Now, there was an interview with Mikhail Gorbachev. I believe this was in the 90s. And I think it was maybe the BBC he was being interviewed on. And he told the interviewer, he said, "You cannot humiliate people in the nation without facing consequences." Now, in Ukraine itself, in 2014, came the Maidan massacre. Now, there was a nominally pro-Russian president, and we wanted nothing to do with that. We wanted him gone.
Yeah, we as in the United States. Yeah.
Yeah, the State Department, Obama, Hillary Clinton,
the elitists, yeah.
Victoria Nuland. These people want Russia destroyed so we can rape them for their resources, basically.
Yeah, because the Dems are at their root evil people.
Yeah, you're on point. So the Maidan massacre, that's a square in Ukraine, and we started pushing basically a color revolution. The color revolution is sort of what we had here with Black Lives Matter and Antifa. You stir up unrest. This was basically a U.S.-backed coup to overthrow the government and install a more U.S.-friendly leader.
Sure. You
Now,
basically read out of the Marxist handbook, and we're very familiar with
yes,
that.
yeah, and we've done it in multiple places,
Yeah.
and we've had people admit it, on TV. Who was it not that long ago was interviewed on, I don't know, NBC or whatever. Yeah, we change governments all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, a couple of these guys got caught. They shot up a town square. All right, a couple of these guys got caught, and an Italian journalist looked into this, and there wound up being a court case. And the court documents revealed that approximately 50 snipers were gathered from various NATO nations and brought to Ukraine to do this revolution. They were given arms and told to shoot randomly at protesters and normal civilians alike.
And by the way, we refer to those people as mercenaries.
Yeah. They were paid $5,000 each. After the Maidan thing, the ultranationalists, which are also known.
Hold on a second. They were paid $5. Now, this is documented. This is not something that
These are they're court documents. So
court documents. So this isn't hearsay. This is facts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after the Maidan thing, the ultranationalists, they overthrew. The guy fled. Yurichenko. The names all sound the same. They're Chenkos and Inchenko. You know what I mean?
No, that's
I forget
racist.
the guy's name. Yeah. Anyway, he fled. They put another guy in, and now the ultranationalists. If you want to know what kind of people are in the military and in a lot of these militias in Ukraine, look up Stepan Bandera. Okay. He's a famous Nazi Ukrainian guy, and they worship him. As a matter of fact, they still to this day have a memorial celebration of him every year. Anyway, these guys went after the largely Russian enclaves. A couple of them were Mariupol, which you may recognize the name from recent events, and Odessa.
Yeah.
Now, in Odessa, they threatened the police chief. They wanted him to kill somebody. I think he refused. I think they killed him. They went after the rest of the police force, barricaded them in their headquarters, and burned them alive. Then they raped something like 100 of the women, killed a bunch of people. Horrific stuff that they did. And something similar they did in Mariupol. And then they went after the.
Was this after Zelensky was?
No. Zelensky wasn't until 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, he was still doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah, he was doing his transvestite act. Look into that if you want to get a laugh. So then they also they continued and increased, I think, the attacks on the Russians in the Donbass, which are like 90 whatever % Russian. They didn't want to be part of Ukraine. As a matter of fact, they asked Putin to absorb them into Russia, and he refused back then. He said, listen, I can't do that legally. You're part of Ukraine. Let's try to work this out. So they continued.
To everybody's best interest, I might add.
Yeah. So my thing went out. So they've been, and that's been going on for 8 years. The Ukrainian militias, the Azov battalion, and these guys are full straight on Nazis. The horrors that I've heard and seen. I don't know if you're going to have to clip this, so I'll give a pause. Even today, we're seeing videos of these psycho Ukrainians taking the bodies of dead Russian soldiers and cooking them and eating them on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, Telegram, these things. These people, there's something evil inside Ukraine. So shortly after that craziness back in 2014 is when Russia went in and annexed Crimea because they saw what was coming. and they couldn't have their water supply shut off as well as some port access. So then we get Zelensky in 2019 running partially on a promise to stop the fight with Russia, which obviously he didn't do. For all I know, it even increased more after he got in there. Then in 2021, Zelensky began going after Russian oligarchs who lived inside of Ukraine. And Putin demanded no NATO, if you remember that back in the 2021. The Biden administration refused to agree. And then Russia began massing troops on the border of the Donbass in late spring of 2021 or whatever,
Yeah.
and continued through to February of 2022, which is when they began not a war, it's a special military operation. And that is a legal term. One thing you got to know about the Russians, believe it or not, they are a very legalistic culture. Even back during like Stalin, when you would get arrested for being a dissenter, they would make sure that they had there was a law that you had broken, and they would give you a trial, find you guilty, and send you off to Siberia or whatever.
Yeah.
But they always did it legally. They're a very legalistic people. So when he says special military operation, what the law allows him to do is defend the Russian people who are under attack in the Donbass.
Oh yeah, that was legitimate, carefully thought out rhetoric too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's happening now is that all changed last Friday, the 30th, when Putin gave his speech. And I recommend that everybody go watch it, read the transcript, whatever. This, in my opinion, is going to go down as one of the most important and impactful political speeches in history.
Yep.
This was a big deal.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait for a lot of people to die off. The people that have been pointing at Russia as the boogeyman for so many years that have nothing interested in their mind except war and the industrial war machine.
We have no interest in Ukraine. Yeah. Why are we doing this?
Well, yeah, that's rhetorical, right?
Well, the Bidens have interest in Ukraine, do I mean?
Yeah, but that's a monetary interest. I mean,
they're making millions.
Yeah, but there is no national interest.
No, there's no national security
right,
interest.
Right.
Yeah, we certainly don't need them for resources. And but by the way, I don't know if you were done with your dissertation, Paul, but I didn't know until a couple of months ago that Ukraine was the breadbasket of the world. I'm sorry, I think that's funny.
Yeah, I didn't either. I knew they were a big exporter, Russia as well, but as we are. But yeah, that's a big problem. But this whole thing is a mess, and like I said, the people behind this are the worst people in America.
Yeah, if they don't know how close they are to a full-on World War III situation, and I didn't even want to use the N word, nuclear, then they're either stupid or naive, but I don't think they're either.
I don't know. I've heard stories that there's whispers in the White House of limited nuclear war, and that's
an oxymoron, by the way.
And half the White House believes that's a thing, and the other half doesn't. So there's conflict even in there, I guess. Yeah,
and not to confuse the issue, but I the way I feel about the left in today's left, like I've said this before, they have a great acceptance for the death of Americans to reach a platitude, and I wouldn't put it past them for not 1 second to induce the death of American lives for their own narrative.
Oh man, did you see Lindsey Graham going after Elon Musk and getting dragged? Oh no. Man, yeah.
That whole Twitter thing is interesting topic, and I have my own thoughts on that. That podcast we do might actually get a little heated. So,
you don't care for Twitter, do you?
Well, I have my reasons, but again, I'm gonna stick to topic. What did I say? We're gonna bring it back to the parking lot, but Did you get up to the point where the peace deal was actually made?
I did not. I brought us right up to Russians crossing the border.
Not that I wasn't paying attention. But.
So we can take it from there. So let me give you my thoughts. From the beginning, I thought that Russia would try to go to the Dnieper River and split Ukraine sort of down the middle, take the eastern half and the southern districts maybe out to Odessa, which is looking like that's probably what they want to do. Now they've been having, obviously everybody's heard the amazing destruction of Russian blah blah blah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that plays out. I'm skeptical, and I think now that the Russians have done the limited call up, whatever they call it, the limited mobilization. And even now, the Ukrainians, although they have gained ground, they have suffered horrific casualties by all the credible estimates that I can find, up to and including now. Russia, even though 2 to 3 times outnumbered, Ukrainian armed forces is something like 600,000 or 700,000, and the Russians got about 180 to 200,000. They've got a 3-to-1 negative ratio in arms, and they're having a 10-to-1 kill to death ratio. So there are massive quantities of Ukrainians.
Not only that, but after we did a deep dive into Operation Mockingbird, which quite honestly I knew quite a bit about prior to that, but it refreshes. It was episode 10, by the way, if anybody wants to go back and listen to it. I don't believe hardly any of the statistics that we see on the daily news coming out of Ukraine regarding their miraculous victories in pockets.
No.
But anyway,
the funny thing is, and I've been watching this over the past year, and I've watched some RT stuff, Russia Today, over the past years. Since this has come out, I would say 2-to-1. You find more truth on Russia Today than you will on CNN or NBC or whatever. Now, granted, they have their own propaganda as well.
Of course, but I'm not. I don't want anybody to think I'm taking sides in particular. I'm just trying to sort the facts out. I'm on America's side, but I don't think that the people in the White House have our best interest at heart.
Nobody's on our side right now.
No.
And the funny thing is, and I've said this on Twitter, just so I have a public record. I said it would be ironic if Vladimir Putin winds up saving Western civilization. Unfortunately, to do that, some really bad things have to happen to us.
Well,
but it could happen.
All right, let's hit this peace deal.
Yeah, that was what was that? April. So that's
it was in April.
2 months.
That late? I thought it was earlier than that when the peace deal was made.
It?
Yeah.
It was a month or so in, and go ahead and tell the people what happened.
It was a deal made with Putin and Zelensky, and they had all but decided that was the best route. I didn't get into the details because we just can't. There's no possible way you could do this in less than an hour with every single detail. But we have a bunch of brilliant listeners. They can figure this stuff out. So the deal was all but made, and it was in the best interest of both of those countries. And let's face it, everybody knew at the time. Both of those guys knew that if you're going to threaten a sovereign border of a superpower, Russia, I don't care what you want to call it, it's still a superpower within a degree. They're going to do something about it. So and jumping past that, soon after, and this is something that's not. It's not top 10 in the news. Boris Johnson, some strange reason, before he left in shame, meets with Zelensky and urges him on the behest of the United States to break the deal.
Yes, he was dispatched by Washington. I would guarantee it, or almost guarantee it.
Yeah, and we don't have any audio of that. I don't know if anybody does, but so that. You could just guess what the rhetoric was, what the verbiage was, and that deal was broken. So we had a peaceful solution in place by the heads of the two governments that were going to get involved with a war. Technically, of course, we all know that we're actually supporting the entire effort, and that's what happened. And which ironically, it leads me into the next point. We've sent billions to Ukraine.
Oh yeah, tens of billions.
Billions, and somebody might say, what's the significance of that? When you're talking about a no turning back World War III podcast, the significance is we don't have the money. I know that sounds ridiculous. It sounds like you're a kid and you didn't get paid that week, but we don't have the money to take care of
us.
Natural disaster. We don't have enough money to take care of the illegals that they're letting over. So the whole thing's upside down.
Here's an interesting tidbit. The entire Russian military budget is something like $60 billion. We've sent $80 billion to Ukraine. Now, most of that is not getting on the ground. That is being laundered to every scumbag, Democrat affiliated.
Well, let's face it. If they actually got all the money we sent them, they could just buy Russia and it'd be over. I mean, it's if Zelensky was smart, he would have taken half of the freaking $80 billion and just gave it to Putin. Say, here you go, Gumba.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Zelensky hasn't taken half of the $80 billion.
I know. And on top of all that, arms. Not only are we sending money, but we're sending arms,
which are also not all getting to Ukraine. They're already in arms markets across the world. And we've documented that stuff already.
Oh, yeah. We're notorious for giving away American weapons and having those weapons used on us.
Yeah. Supposedly there are groups of arms dealers outside American bases in like Poland and stuff and Germany.
Yeah, that's good.
Who are making deals and grabbing this stuff and shipping it off. You remember the plane that got shot down coming out of
right.
Just a couple months ago?
Yeah.
Probably. That was going to. I was going to Greece. Yeah. Oh.
But the mentality isn't that hard to understand when you think about the Afghan withdrawal and what they left there. This is our government, present government, and this is how they think. This is a deliberate act to drain us. We talked about this earlier, guys, in the week as we were putting this together, and I can't leave this alone without including the social decline aspect of the whole thing, because when you're talking about World War III, you have to take the people in any particular country, and you basically through propaganda, you have to convince them that that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Or you're going to have a revolt. Well, we have an extreme social decline in this country, and it's a war within itself, which could almost be classified as a
satanic.
Well, that it is.
As a matter of fact, this would be a good place for me to go over a few points from Putin's speech after you give a couple examples. Is that what you're planning on doing here?
Yeah, because I want to. I know this might sound slightly disconnected, but if we don't interject the failed social policies that made the Ukraine thing happen, then we're not really doing it justice. And included in that, and this is a Marxist cultural revolution that's happening in this country. That's why their supporters are running around, including half of Congress with Ukraine lapel pins. Okay,
yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. Wearing a lapel pin to support one country against another, it's none of our business. We shouldn't be doing it. That's my opinion.
And you've got guys like Adam Kinzinger or Eric Swalwell. They got the Ukraine flag ahead of the U.S. flag in their Twitter bios.
Yeah. Now, what does that tell you?
That's against flag protocol. First of all,
well, they could care less about protocol.
Well, they don't know it.
So I'm gonna. This is gonna deviate slightly, but it goes towards. I feel like I'm in a courtroom. It goes towards social decline, and it's Representative Clyde talking to Dr. Kumar in Congress, and it in any case, it's just absolutely absurd. So check this out.
And while we're talking about science, let's talk about biology. And let's just keep it real simple. Just 2 yes or no questions. And this is for Dr. Kumar. Dr. Kumar, can biological men become pregnant and give birth?
So men can have pregnancies, especially trans men.
So can biological men become pregnant and give birth? So are you saying that a biological female who identifies as a man and therefore becomes pregnant is, quote, a man? Is that what you're saying?
These questions about who can become pregnant are really missing the point. I'm here to talk
No.
about Texas.
This is me asking a question and you answering. I'm asking the question, sir, not you.
Right, and I'm answering the question. Somebody with a uterus may have the capability of becoming pregnant, whether they're a woman or a man. That doesn't make a difference.
Okay, we're done.
Not
We're
every
done.
person with
This
a uterus
isn't complicated.
has the ability.
Let me tell you, if a person has a uterus and is born female, they are a woman. That is not a man, and the vast majority of the world considers that to be a woman because there are biological differences between men and women.
So automatically you're going to say, well, what does that have to do with World War III?
Well, it's because we're not the only ones looking at this. The rest of the world is looking at that. And I don't know if the term has come to many of our viewers, called the Great Bifurcation. The world is splitting apart, and we are losing. The vast majority of the world's population is going to side with China and Russia, along with Brazil, India. It's called BRICSia. Brazil, India, China, South Africa, Russia.
And I also believe that in Putin's speech you can allude to some of the immoral activities going on within the United States.
Let me give you some bullet points from his speech. This is just a few points. It was 20, 25, 30 minutes. I don't remember exactly. Good speech, like I said, or impactful speech. Okay, here are some of the points. We call on the Kiev regime to negotiate, but the people of Lugansk, Donetsk, Kherson, etc., will not be discussed. They have made their choice. This is after the vote. So there's Putin saying, that's off the table. That's ours now. We're not even going to discuss it. He says, elite circles in the West have shown what they have in store for the people of the world. They thought Russia would never come back. They are not happy with our resource-rich country that refuses to give up our culture. They are aggressive to traditional values and cultures. Russia in the 20th century supported the anti-imperialist movement so that nations may follow their own destiny. And he's talking about United States imperialism,
right.
Debt imperialism, military imperialism, so forth.
Well, he's been observing us for years, obviously.
Yes. Yeah. All countries must surrender their sovereignty to the United States. Those who refuse to become vassals are destroyed. Can you say Libya?
Yeah.
They are fighting, and the reason Libya was destroyed is because they wanted to get off the petrodollar and back their currency in gold. What did Hillary say? Go ahead, Jim. Take it away.
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot, huh?
We came, we conquered, he's dead, he died, or something like that.
But Paul, what difference does it make now?
Well, Libya is now the largest open-air slave market in...
No, it was one of her quotes.
Oh, yeah.
That was Hillary's quote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those will be destroyed. They are fighting this hybrid war against us because they want to make us a colony. Japan, Germany, and South Korea are militarily occupied by the United States and have been since when? Either World War II or Korea.
Yeah. World War II. Basically, you have to listen to his words and you have to read between the lines on a lot of it. Of course, there's a lot I don't necessarily 100% agree with. Why would I?
That's fine, but there's no lies here. That's my point.
Well, yeah.
Listen to our people talk and listen to him talk. There's really no lies.
Well, I mean,
what did he have to say about the?
Hold on, I'm not done. Talking about Germany, South Korea, blah blah blah. They pretend that they are partners, but the U.S. spies on and intimidates their leaders. USA and NATO are responsible for the mass immigration problems happening in the world today. American elites are engineering the destruction of Europe. We'll get to that a bit later, so that they can weaken their competitors. Cough, cough, Nord Stream. European elites understand this, but betray their own people by refusing to fight back. Reminds me of the German foreign secretary or whatever her name was. I don't care what my voters want. I'm going to
Yeah,
support
you're going to
Ukraine to
support
the
Ukraine
end.
anyway because I got to get a lapel pin. Yeah.
The Anglo-Saxon nations attacked Europe's infrastructure, Nord Stream. European leaders know this, but are too afraid to say anything about it.
He's saying what most countries would say, especially
Right.
if he feels threatened.
But if they're on the USA teat, they're not allowed to say it. That's the whole thing.
And that's why I brought up the whole social aspect of this, because you can't do this in a World War II era United States. You wouldn't see this. Everybody knew what the power was. Now with this decline, and I'm going to play a second part of that clip. With this decline, it's in your face, and I think Joe's going to really enjoy this particular one too. From Clyde back, and he was also continued to talk to this doctor Kumar, and he's worth looking up. He's a real hoot. But check this.
Just have a look at him, and then I got 4 points left. I'll do it after your clip.
Yeah. Check this out.
Why in the world would Democrats have brought in a person whose title is Director of Trans Care for an abortion hearing when only biological women can become pregnant? Dr. Kumar, in your opening statement, you said, quote, abortion bans are inherently racist, inherently classist, and fundamentally part of the white supremacy agenda. How do you rationalize working for Planned Parenthood, an organization founded by Margaret Sanger, someone who associated with white supremacist groups and eugenics? Margaret Sanger's entire focus was to decimate communities of color through abortion to eliminate their future generations.
He eviscerated this guy.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
We've discussed this in the past. That's what the Planned Parenthood was all about.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It was about ending the black race.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it dovetails in with the social decline.
And these freaking morons are hanging on to it like it's some kind of religion.
Technically, it probably is.
It is, yes. All right, just to finish it off. Russian resistance has broken those with global ambitions before, and we will continue. U.S. dollar hegemony plunders the world's riches, propping up its racket economy at everybody else's expense. And that's a big deal going right now. The dollar's at a 20-plus year high. Currencies are collapsing around the world. And I'm wondering if that's on purpose to destroy other economies. But,
well, if Soros has anything to do with it, it is. That's his baby,
Then he says, Russians do not want our children to be made into sexual deviants.
There we go.
That's the whole thing. And he went further with that, talking about Russia being a largely Christian nation. We don't want, mommy, parent number 1, 2, and 3. We want a mommy and daddy. Anyway, and the final one says, Western governments subjugate their own people. They deny people their basic rights, and Western elites are openly satanic. So he called a spade, and it was a big deal. So anyway.
Oh yeah, it's a big deal, and he was referring to COVID most recently, because that's what they did. They stripped of you your rights. They masked you. They forced you into mandated jabs. They boosted you.
Right.
They shut your business down.
And both him and the Chinese government have commented on how we put our January protesters in
well,
prison.
Yeah, unfortunately or fortunately, the Chinese have no room to talk about unless they release those million Uyghurs.
That's true, yeah. But it doesn't make their statement incorrect.
Right. No, it doesn't.
And did you know that the military is about to throw a bunch of people out because they haven't got their vaccines?
Still.
Yep.
Still? I mean, they've already proven that the vaccines are bullshit, but I don't get it. I don't really get it.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yes, I do. You're right. I do.
You get it because those are the people who stand up for what's right, and they can't have that. That's why the first thing they did when the Biden regime came in, that scumbag Austin had a stand down of the entire freaking military to weed out patriots.
Hey, let me just take a poll, because Joe, you said you don't get it, but I want to do a vaccination affirmation poll. Yeah, who on this call is vaccinated with this poison? Anybody?
My bodily fluids shall be used to repopulate the earth.
I hear there's good money in that.
Yes, the non-vaxxed bodily fluids are up something like 400%.
Yeah, I'm sorry I gave it the office.
I'll bet you did.
But anyway, a couple other points, and again, I know we're doing a yin and yang thing here deliberately. Defund the police. Well, let's defund the police. And now, of course, we have a and I'm trying to look at this through the eyes of Putin in a way, and I don't have a love affair with Putin. We're trying to be fair and objective here. We defund our police. Now, 4 days out from the midterm elections. No. All the Democrats that claim they wanted to defund the police, except for the most radicals that still wear turbans in Congress, are backing off from that. Which is a blatant lie, because they built a community, they built a constituency that they actually understand will forgive them and forget. They have such a short memory. That's done deliberately too. We have a double standard in our justice system, as you can see with the persecution of Trump supporters, the J6 political prisoners, because that's what they are. And I could spend we could do a whole nother show on that, because I'm so peeved. I don't see any GOP lining up, marching on the jails to get these people.
Cowards. Cowards.
If I could speak Russian, that's what I would say right now. This is a ridiculous an operation of politicizing and jailing illegally. These people haven't even gotten bail hearings, or they were denied bail with no charges. By the way, we don't do that to freaking terrorists.
Yeah, there is no way that any of those trials ought to be going on in D.C., where 97% voted for Biden.
No,
they hate Trump. They hate Trump supporters. I was nearly attacked by. I was confronted by one of those animals when I went down there for the previous.
Yeah.
I was not at January 6th, but I was at the one right before that.
I will reiterate what the great Ron DeSantis said. Florida's a 2A state, so I'd be careful, because you never know what's lurking behind that door.
Yeah, well, I noticed that they arrested a bunch of illegals looting Fort Myers today.
Yeah, I think they're going to send them to Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, all right. Sure.
But coupled with this, the militant LGBTQ ABC 123 group, including the mass gender affirmation procedures that are going on behind parents' backs, that's something that Putin was discussing. And again, I say this, I'm not speaking for anybody else, but I'm saying this because this is how he's looking at this country, a weak, pathetic country.
That's how the entire rest of the world. We can't see the forest through the trees.
No, and I believe
we're in it.
Yeah, and I believe that's a main reason why we're dumping so many astronomical resources to Ukraine, because we need to keep that smoke screen up. And I'm personally was going to stop my bullet points and try to articulate the toppling of the Christian nation within the United States as to me, when we lost that. At least the ratio, what it used to be, we started losing everything. Everything went down a slope rather quickly after that happened.
That's right. Speaking of slopes, remember when we reminded everybody about the slippery slope back in the 80s? Well, you can get down on the ground and kiss my ass, because we were all right.
Your adversaries knew you were right too.
Yeah, of course.
They knew you were right.
That would be a good podcast for another time, the decline of Christian civilization. But that's an entire
yeah. But we did discuss this earlier as well, and I just lost my train of thought. But it was something we were comparing, that we were talking about that basically Putin was saying. but I forget what it was. So I'll sound like an idiot now, but
All right. Well, why don't we move on to the chances of World War III
take it.
with this Nord Stream thing? No serious person thinks that Russia did this. The fact that we've got people like Brennan and Clapper coming out saying, yeah, well, they probably did it. Yeah, bullshit.
Well, they're
This was-
professional, documented liars. So
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what they do for a living,
no,
is they lie. And, you know, either the United States did it directly or we had it done.
more than likely had it done. Yeah.
And this is the thing that Putin was talking about, is we don't care about the we're willing to destroy Europe, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Europe is cannot survive without, no nation can survive without energy. That's one of the goals of this green bullshit, is to destroy sovereign nations by taking away fossil fuels. So we did this. I would say that's 99.5% chance. I don't see it being some rogue, Polish outfit.
No. And even if it was, it would have had to have been with borrowed technology. You know.
Yeah.
This was you can't scuba dive down there and do this.
And getting back to what we talked about pre stream here, I've heard numerous reports that there were U.S. assets spotted in the area in the day or two, whatever it was, leading up to this, including several Marine MH-60S helicopters, and possibly an Orion P-8, which is, if you all remember the hunt for Red October, the plane that flew over and dropped a torpedo with a little parachute on it to go after the submarine. Right. That's the one that was in the area. So whether it had some kind of remote enabled torpedo on it, I don't know, but
yeah,
it's looking pretty sketchy for us.
Yeah, it's sketchy. I mean, unfortunately and factually, it's supposition, because this is something that we won't know for years if we know a fact at all.
Russia wanted to go in there and inspect, and the Norwegians put a cordon around it. They won't allow them in there for some reason.
But isn't that odd? Everybody's got their toe in the warm side of the pool.
Can't Russia shut that gas line off?
Yeah, they can. That's the whole point. Why would they blow it up? This is a multi-billion-dollar, $10 billion asset. They're going to blow it up. That's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I heard Nord 2 was off. It was not operational, and now I don't know how accurate this part is. And Nord 1 was shut down for maintenance, which doesn't matter. There's still residual gas in it.
Yeah, well, Nord Stream 2 wasn't even in use, but they had it pressurized. But let's also, going back to the USA thing, back in January and February, Victoria Nuland, who is perhaps the most evil person in the Biden, and she's left over from Bush and Obama. Yeah. She's the one who did the Maidan massacre thing.
Yeah. She's a warlord.
She's a witch. Yeah. She said, if Russia crosses that line, we will end Nord Stream 2. And then Biden came out a couple weeks later and reiterated the same thing. Yeah. And the reporter asked him, well, how do you do that? And he kind of hemmed and hawed and then chuckled and said, don't worry, we can do it.
Right.
And then what does Blinken say last week? Oh, this presents a awesome, advantageous opportunity for American LNG sales to Europe.
Well, here's the theme. The theme is they don't care. Okay, this is a group of people that just don't care. It's in your face. They're petulant. They're so petulant that they can't wait. Somebody who has a secret and they don't want to tell you, but they can't wait to tell you.
Yes.
That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with that kind of a personality. They don't care what you think.
Right. Well, we've seen this in multiple instances where it's right in your face and they don't care because they know they have full control over the media, the judiciary, the military. They've got it all.
Yeah. This is going to sound kind of wacky, but I'm going to read something and I'm going to try to be dramatic.
All right.
And
do your dramatic voice.
I'm going to try it.
All right.
And then you tell me what you think.
All right. You're going to have to lower a couple octaves there, I think, or something.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm just getting excited. Okay.
Okay. Dramatic. Okay. Well, maybe crank it up a couple.
I was just doing a dramatic pause.
Okay.
Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses, evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death's destruction.
I've heard that somewhere before. Satan laughing spreads his wings.
Politicians hide themselves away. They only started the war. Why should they go out and fight? They leave all that to the poor. 1970, Black Sabbath.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were pausing for effect. I didn't mean to jump in on you.
No, that was perfect because I wasn't going to. But you since you jumped to the freaking chorus. Yeah, and I don't want to sing it because I don't want to get bumped off of YouTube for a violation.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was listening to that the other day, and a lot of the words are difficult when you hear the song. But oh my gosh, is that on the freaking money?
You know, I had Bible study last night, and somebody came. We went over somehow. Hymns were part of the discussion, and "A Mighty Fortress Is Our God" came up. So I sang some of it, and I thought they were mocking me. They said I had a good voice. Would you like me to try a little Ozzy?
We'll have to take a vote, Joe.
What the hell?
All right, Paul.
Now I'm going to have to remember the lyrics.
That's okay. I have them in front of me, so I just might do some harmony.
All right, well, start me off here, just with what you did.
Generals gathered. Generals gathered in their masses.
Yeah, I'm not going to be. I'm going to be doing it at my. I'll do the bass. Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction. Sorcerer of death's construction.
Well, Lord, yeah.
Okay, I think we're getting a little loopy here.
Okay, I'm not going to quit my day job.
Yeah, me neither.
But yeah, interesting. Very.
So now we've got, and this is serious. This World War III thing. We've got Poland doing backdoor discussions with the White House about getting nuclear weapons. We got North Korea, which is a vassal of China. If they fire off a nuke that was, a missile or whatever, it was most likely timed by Chairman Xi Jinping. All right. So they did one the other day. They just did another one tonight. And it turns out we've got a freaking carrier surface group in the East Sea, which is the direction that they fired tonight's missile. All right. This is getting serious. So serious that tomorrow I am calling the Finnish consulate to find out what the rules are about getting family visas or citizenship, because I'm considering talking, and I haven't talked to my son about this, but I'm considering trying to convince him to get the fuck out of this country before something horrible happens and go make a life in Finland. That's how serious this has become to me. This is no longer a joke. No, they don't speak Spanish, but okay. He's young. He could pick up the language very quickly.
No, I mean, I get your point. Did you see that the New Jersey, the warning in New Jersey that I sent you?
You sent it to me, and I looked at it. I was unaware up until then. I'd seen the.
I didn't get it.
I sent it to you.
Yes, he did get it. He just didn't look at it.
I'm watching out for you guys.
You are. And we had the New York State public service announcement last month. That crazy crap.
Yeah.
What to do in case of a nuclear
Yeah, well,
bomb.
that was insane. But I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if before long the kids are going to be hiding under their desks again, like in the 60s and 70s. You know, I mean, it is bad. It's getting bad, and I'm an optimistic pessimist. I was going to join the optimist club, but I didn't think they'd let me. So
Yeah, I'll tell you, for one, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and I don't ever remember being told to hide under my desk. We never had that. Maybe my school district didn't have enough pussies in it, but I don't know. Apparently it was a thing, but not for me. Second of all, everybody,
you dropped out of homeschool too, so there's that.
everybody, get on Amazon and get yourself a bottle of potassium iodide.
No, just go down to the liquor store and get your bottle of scotch because ain't nothing going to help you.
That's what I said.
That's what Joe says. But it's possible that you will be far enough away, and it doesn't take that far. 10 miles or something.
No, yeah,
you could survive.
Don't look directly at the flash.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. No.
So. Yeah.
Then it won't matter with your potassium iodide because you'll be blind and your skin will fall off.
Should you wear aluminum foil underwear? Would that help?
Yeah, well, I'm
wearing them right now, and it doesn't seem to be doing any good.
I think you might need lead underwear.
Or wrap the boys up in aluminum foil.
Yeah, at least maybe they could find you and bronze them and put them in a futuristic museum.
Yeah. But I mean, all joking aside, I have a normalcy bias like anybody else, and I've resisted this idea. But we've got so much narrative pumping coming out from the machine about nuclear this and nuclear that. I'm starting to get nervous. There's something going on, and if you don't think that they wouldn't drop a nuke to kick something off, then you're just not paying attention.
Right. My last hope in so much as I have any hope in government, and I know how you're going to respond already, Paul. But my last hope is this midterm, so that at very least, and at this point in my life, you can probably throw a lot of the D's and R's around interchangeable, but at very least, maybe we can curtail some of this madness. I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know if they need. Well, first of all, as far as Ukraine goes, most of the Republicans are on board. They're all voting to send all this money over there.
Yes, and I don't know why. I really don't know why. I'd like to say that it's some kind of a I don't know, some kind of show of unity, or for some twisted show of unity. But they're no better than the German lady that said, "I don't care what you guys think," because I'm telling you right now, especially those that are suffering, and not to bring a hurricane into it, but especially those that are suffering from a hurricane, they're not on board. I don't care who they voted for the last 40 years. They're not on board with you giving our money to anybody.
Yeah.
So.
But, and I don't want to go all, boomers are bad, but a lot of the people in Congress are boomers, and they've been brought up, just like we've been brought up, propagandized, about racism and, well, we're not going to go into all the other propaganda, but they've been propagandized Russia bad all their lives. And that's got to have an effect.
Well, of course it does. Of course. And we are, by the way, boomers. So, I mean,
barely.
Point out the obvious.
I like to say, when all the boomers die off, I'm going to be the last one out. I'll turn off the lights.
Yeah, because you're such a young guy.
I'm a young boomer, yeah.
Anyway, we're at about that time. So I say we wrap this up. No turning back. The hunt for Red November.
Yeah, and any advice that people are willing to take, be in touch with your family, create a tribe, know people in your community, know how to survive if something really ugly happens, because that is at least a reasonable possibility. And blood means a lot, as community does too. But find like-minded people who understand what's going on, and do your best to make some kind of preparations, whether it be, storing some extra food and water and guns and ammo and
at this point,
medicine and whatever.
Yeah, at this point, that's just good advice.
Yeah, I mean that's worthwhile just for, say, a hurricane or something.
Yeah. Well, and the future of the economy,
Yeah,
So,
right. And it's also, have relationships. We've broken from being a social people, due to
sure. Yeah.
fast living and the
smartphones,
fast pace of life,
yeah.
and smartphones and social media. Yeah.
All right, guys. Don't forget we're on every outlet for podcasts that there is out there. The Spotify, Amazon, Apple. We're at shineboxcontact @gmail.com. I think I can remember that by now. And YouTube and Rumble as well. I just started a page on Rumble, so it's easier to find. And all that information's linked in the YouTube videos and the link for the main site for the podcast. So.
Yeah. I was going to recommend maybe we could find a copy of Putin's speech and put it in the description wherever it's possible on Rumble or YouTube.
Yeah,
or
so we
whatever.
can dig that up. Yep.
And maybe some of that other stuff if we're able to find it. So
or even
take a look.
We can even do a short in the middle of the week and just release it.
Either way.
Yeah. Cool. All right, fellas. Anybody got anything they want to wrap this up with?
Aim small.
Aim small, miss small. Yeah.
Hoo-ah.
Amen, brother.
All right, guys. Have a good night from the Shinebox production crew. Everybody have a good night.
Good night, Jim. Good night, Joe.
Good night.